Welcome to another episode of the Anyone But Cam Offseason podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Frankie. Sitting across the from me is Cam. Cam, how's it going?
Some weirdo broke into my room and is here to talk about Avengers Endgame with us. So, pretty good.
And who might that weirdo be?
Kaylee. But Devin's also here.
Oh, okay.
Well, hello, Devin. Is that all you have to say about yourself? What's going on?
Hey guys, not as much. Saw Endgame like you guys, and yeah.
Cool. Well, I'm glad to have you, Devin. Is this your first time on the podcast? You've been on before.
I've been on before. That was that quad cast with Justin.
Yeah, that's right. I remember that.
Hunger Games and ape fighting.
That was like early days of the off-season episodes. Yeah, that was a while ago. Good to have you back on, Devin. So, as Devin just said, and all three of us saw Endgame on release night, actually Thursday night, in different places, but we all did see it, and we're going to talk about it here. So, it's going to be a full spoiler discussion. So, if you've not seen it yet, turn this off. It's probably going to be labeled. The episode's probably going to be named like spoiler discussion. So, if you, I don't know what to tell you. We will start off here with just let's just start off with some like general impressions. Cam, what was your reaction like coming out of the film?
Drained is the best way I could describe myself after this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was hard to react to stuff after it because I had felt so many emotions going through it all, and it was just so long, but like, I don't know, constant just walls of feelings and hypeness and craziness.
Yeah, it's a dense film for sure.
Yeah.
How about you, Devin?
I guess closure.
Yeah.
Especially something that's been built up for like a decade.
Devin, how many Marvel movies do you think you've seen in theaters? Or like maybe go through the ones you maybe haven't.
The ones I know I haven't. Had Marvel, 2 Thors, Incredible Hulk.
Ant-Man 2?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you say you haven't seen them in
Probably
theaters. Did you? Which two Thors didn't you see?
I didn't see the first or second in theaters, but I saw the second at home.
Okay.
Good choice.
Yeah. Okay. So I guess I'll just go for my reaction then. My immediate reaction coming out of this film was that was the best MCU film, and it's not even that close. It is saying a bit, I think, because I think there are some really excellent films in the series. But yeah, Drained is away. My official cry count coming out of the film was 7. It eventually got to 8, which we'll talk about later. But it was 7.
How many times did you cry, Devin?
I cried once.
What time?
We can get to those later.
Okay.
We'll get to that.
I have one that I want to talk about.
We will go over all of those scenes, and what better place to start than the beginning. And the first scene started off with a bang, or maybe we should say a snap instead. We open up in the Hawkeye's farm with his family, his wife, his 2 sons, and his daughter, and his daughter's just doing target practice with him. And everything seems to be going well. He has his house arrest anklet on from the events of Civil War, as we saw in Ant-Man 2 that Scott had on him as well. Everything seems to be going well with them. Good to see Clint happy. And then, of course, we see the snap happen. And this was the cry count number 1. I was already in an emotional state, like, expecting to go into it, but just watching him like search for his daughter, and like call out for the rest of his family, that was a lot for me. What do you guys think about the opening scene?
Okay, so in the trailers, it shows Hawkeye like as some vigilante kind of in China. Shows that scene where like he pulls off his hood and looks at Nat.
Right.
So I knew that obviously he'd gone off the deep end. So as soon as I saw that he was there with his family, I was like, oh dang, most if not all of these people are about to die. So I regret seeing that in trailers because it kind of spoiled it. Mm-hmm. But it was still crazy. What do you think, Tim?
Yeah, it was just terrible odds for him.
Yeah.
Yeah, honestly.
He rolled like a 2.
Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah, that's fine. I didn't watch the trailer, so I didn't have that kind of reaction, but I can definitely see that for sure. And I think from that scene, I'm gonna go over some of the. We're gonna kind of go over the film. We're definitely gonna forget some things and miss some things. We've only seen it once, and it's 3 hours. The next big thing I remember really happening is we cut to Tony and Nebula up in Rocket's ship, running out of oxygen, and Tony gives like a eulogy of sorts, which good writing, it always comes back full circle. But he gives like a eulogy talking to Pepper, and just kind of going over his situation, and then eventually we see that blinding light eventually comes and saves him and kind of sets the rest of the movie up. But I don't know, did either of you think for a moment that they were going to do something so bold as to kill off Tony Stark in the very beginning of the film, or did you guys think they had to be a way out?
I mean, there had to be a way out for me. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, like, obviously, they're not going to kill Captain America like that, because otherwise, what's the whole point? And also, Nebula, gotta do something.
Right.
When I first saw that Captain Marvel came and saved them, I, didn't realize, how she would have known to find them or anything, and it really annoyed me. After talking about it with Kaylee, though, she was like, at the end of Captain Marvel in the post-credit scene is, when she first meets the Avengers. So, I thought that she was coming to Earth, and on her way she just saw Tony, and it's kind of annoyed for a while. But then afterwards, I was like, oh, this kind of makes sense. It's cool.
Oh, yeah, that didn't even occur to me, but yeah. The next things, I think the next, he comes back, and we have, Tony and Cap's reunion, and then we have Robert Downey Jr. giving, I think, performing some of his best scenes that he's done as Tony Stark. With him, just they made him through digital editing, made him super skinny and pale, and he was falling over and stuff like that, and it was really sad to see. And I think a lot of people, for myself, were thinking that the first real meeting between Cap and Tony certainly isn't going to go well. I think there's still a lot of bad blood there, but it wasn't as explosive as I thought, and I think a big part of that was because just Tony was just so exhausted from what he had gone through, and you can't blame him for that. But I don't know. I would just say I absolutely loved Robert Downey Jr. in that scene. I think he was phenomenal.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting that he blamed Cap for the snap happening. I didn't see that coming, because he just thought since Cap wasn't working with him, obviously that is his fault. But I kind of feel like it was backwards, because what Tony wanted during Civil War was regulation on the heroes, and if they had that, they couldn't have reacted to Thanos as quick. So
right.
If Tony wasn't being, I don't know, dingus, then maybe he could have saved them.
Yeah, it's kind of part of Tony's character. It's very easy for him to point fingers, and that's that comes around a little bit later in the story too, which we'll get to.
So much food wasted because he knocked over that bowl. They didn't even look like he started eating it, and then the hot dogs in the beginning. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but Devin, half the population's gone. You have a surplus of food now, so it's fine. Thanks, Thanos.
Thank you, Thanos. Moving along, we're going to skip a little bit here. We're going to go right to, a confrontation with Thanos. They, know where he is, and we find him on his farm, just chilling, wearing, workers' clothes, which was, really weird. And then out of nowhere, Carol bursts in and grabs him by the neck, and they all just burst through his house. And they're where are the Infinity Stones? And Thanos goes on talking about how he destroyed them, and that destroying them basically almost killed him. And I guess we get closure from, or I guess an ending of the story from Infinity War, where Thor in fact does kill Thanos, although in a very unceremonious way. I don't know. I was actually shocked by this moment, because I think I was just what is happening at this point? And I think we all kind of going in. I think a lot of people could assume this movie is gonna have some time travel elements into it, but I didn't think that they would start off just like literally killing Thanos. Like I know it didn't undo their problems, but like I was just like, okay, who's gonna be the big? Is there gonna be like are they gonna go back in time and gonna be another Thanos, or is there gonna be a new big bad, or is at this point I was just like, well, is there even gonna be a bad guy in this film? Are they just gonna be trying to fight themselves and trying to figure out how to get this for the rest of the film? I don't know. I was just shocked by the choice personally. What did you guys think about them killing Thanos so early into the movie?
Yeah, I wasn't sure about. Well, surprised about that because I thought if they were gonna have to go through time to find the stones, that he would probably follow them back through the time and chase them down, kind of.
Yeah,
but
sure.
if he's gone, then who would that would be the or barriers to their success.
Yeah, we kind of touched on this on the other podcast, where it's like, now that Thanos has accomplished his goal, like, what is there for him to do? Is he just going to be kind of, like, depressed and hang out? And he was kind of like that, honestly. Like, he destroyed stones and was just kind of farming, solitary lifestyle. But then, they just kind of bait and switch you, and he's gone, so, like, they don't even have to resolve that problem.
Yeah.
And it was super interesting to see, like, what the kind of toll the Infinity Stones took on him, where his entire, like, right arm was, I don't know, burned to a crisp, like, going up to his face. It was interesting.
Yeah. It was great stuff. And I think the next week, we have an insane placard, I guess you could call it. I was like, literally, I think my theater, I don't know if you guys did, my theater gasped when the next thing we saw was a black screen and the words 5 years later slowly appear across this. What was your theater's reaction to that?
I don't really think there was a group reaction. My gut reaction was just like, this is classic superhero things based on my experience with Young Justice. 5-year time jumps out of nowhere. It's crazy though.
I don't know. My theater was like audibly gasping, and people were like saying like out loud like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" Like, I don't know. I did active theater, which was fun. Yeah, 5 years later, and we're not gonna go through every scene here, but I guess my overall impressions from like this first like big chunk of the film, I guess you could call the first act, if you will, trying to figure out until they get like the time travel stuff going. I thought this first act was brilliant from a filmmaking standpoint. I think it was incredibly tight. It was pitch perfect for me. I've seen criticism of it being slow, and I think that it obviously was very intentional, and I enjoyed it being slow. I love just like being able to see where all the characters are going forward. Like we have the Skype call that Natasha has with all different members when all scattered in all different parts of the galaxy. We get to check in with everybody, and we get into some of my favorite moments in the entire film, or in this first act. Specifically, the return of Scott Lang is absolutely great. Just like I don't even remember what someone was like a rat or something, like restarted the car, which I was like, that's a little silly, but I can accept it. But then to him like trying to figure out like what happened to the world, and him like finding like what is like a war memorial basically, like not what in our life would be like a war memorial type thing, where it's just like all these stones just filled with names of all the people who passed in the decimation. Like that was, I don't know, just seeing those like monolithic like statues were like, it was really powerful to me. And then to see him like panic running through trying to find his daughter, we were getting close to cry count number 2. We were getting close. What did you guys think about Scott's introduction into the movie?
Yeah, I thought it was perfect, and it was really cool to like, it was kind of like us just showing up in this 5 years later period, same with him, and we're just kind of like seeing how the world has changed through Scott, and I don't think it really hit me, I don't know about you guys, until we see Cassie, a major component of my favorite Marvel movies, and then all of a sudden she's like 19 or whatever, and I just remember her being a tiny little girl who was super happy her dad like bought her a weird looking rabbit in the first movie. And that was when I cried, definitely.
Dev?
Yeah.
What do you like about the other character introductions we got after that 5-year time jump? Like for me, seeing Cap like running that like support circle for everyone. It kind of seemed like it was him remembering his friend Sam, who was a war like council person for veterans,
Yeah. Oh.
and it was like he was doing that for people after Sam left, and I thought that was really cool. Anyone else?
Yeah, I love that scene. I don't want to go forward too quickly because I want to talk just quickly about meeting Cassie again from the door. This was officially cry count number 2, and I think maybe the second biggest one of the entire film. Probably second or third. It's definitely up there. That was like the frantic, like him like running up the doorsteps, pounding on the door, and then the shot lingers there for a while as we wait for her to kind of step out into the hallway. And then, like, yeah, the shock of seeing her old, like, or not old, but grown, and then them embracing, it was a lot. But yeah, Cap in the support group was awesome. Another writing thing where he talked about needing to move on as he has like Peggy's picture in his pocket, trying to counsel other people about moving on when he can't do it himself. You can't blame him for not moving on either. So, yeah. Was there any other character introductions, or are we gonna just keep moving on here?
Was that it before Scott? Just Captain America and Natasha?
I think so because we don't meet up with Thor and Hulk for a while.
Right.
Yeah, and Tony is after they start talking about time travel and go.
Yeah, and so we kind of get next here into the next like bulk of the film is time travel, and they figuring if they could possibly go back into time, they could get the Infinity Stones before Thanos and reverse the snap. That's kind of their hypothesis. And they need they need some help. Essentially, is what it comes down to. And who better to help than Tony Stark? And we find that they go to Tony, and we get kind of an introduction where they just drive up to his house, and we see Tony walking like in this like countryside home, and we see him like walk to this little area where there's a tent and a little like chair, and it didn't hit me at first. I was like, what in the world is this? But I know Jake, who's sitting next to me, was immediately like he like made an audible reaction because he realized that Tony has a kid. And then his daughter comes out, and this wasn't another cry, but it was a little like aw moment, I was just, I don't know. It's really relieving to see that Tony actually was able to have like an actual life that isn't just like this crazy playboy billionaire, guy who profits off of war efforts. And to see that things did end up working out with Pepper Potts, I thought that was great. And like the whole like the scene where Tony's talking to all of them in his dilemma of, feeling morally. That he has to go back and fix something if he can fix it, but also just personally, like he, it seems like he's finally actually found happiness in his life for once, and you just can't stand to let that go. It's just the dichotomy of that. It's a lot.
Yeah, it's a pretty big theme for Tony throughout this movie. What his dad said to him of just how he's always putting the greater good before his own good. And it's like Tony right now, he's the only one that we really see having like a good come out of everything. Like he's able to kind of move on and make his life whole again. So it's pretty interesting to see like that kind of struggle within him of whether or not he should help.
Yeah.
Did he pour them like chocolate milk? Like what was that stuff? It was like brown, right?
Chocolate. I didn't see it. Yeah, okay. And then the kind of the next order of events it's a little mixed up in my mind. I know we get some more character introductions. Basically, like we figure out what Hulk's been up to. Eventually we find out what Hawkeye's been up to, as we talked about with his assassin life. I guess we could start with Hulk. We find out that Bruce is like kind of somewhat mastered the Hulk power in a way, or at least like he's finding a way to control it, where he's like half Banner, half Hulk. I don't know. I saw some people. This is a sticking point for some people. What did you guys think about this version of Hulk?
I liked it. I don't know. I thought it would like a natural progression from seeing the conflict in the last one in Ragnarok.
Right.
Yeah. So just recently watched The Incredible Hulk, and was just like doing some digging on Wikipedia afterwards. And this is a reference to comics. There's a character called Maestro, who is Hulk in the future, and he like figures out how to have Banner's intelligence and the Hulk's strength, and he kind of becomes like an anti-hero to Hulk when he time travels. Weird thing. But so I thought that was really cool that I just learned about this, and we ended up seeing it in the movie. But then also he's doing that thing where he's like taking pictures for little friends in the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't really
It's a great scene.
feel like that fit with his character personally. Maybe because like he's been spending his whole life like running from the spotlight and like trying to suppress the Hulk. But maybe it just showed how he embraced it, and now he can kind of like be more outgoing. But I never felt like he was an outgoing guy. It's just weird to me.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, things have changed. It's been years of his growth and 5 years of after living after the snap. Yeah, all good points here. I think we should just go ahead and go into one of the bigger laughs of the entire film. The bigger comedy moments is we find Thor at the new Asgard, and the reveal of his extreme dad bod while he played. Yeah, Gamer's Bob, while him and his buddies play Fortnite. Jake and I were dying when we saw this. I was like, you put Fortnite as my favorite thing? Why? No, I know the Roosters are big Fortnite fans, so it made sense. But I was like, and like also like it's supposed to be like taking place now, but like, oof, that was it's not a tough pill to swallow. But Thor's reveal is cool. He starts off with seeing Valkyrie, and Valkyrie's just like, yeah, you're not going to be able to talk to him. He doesn't really talk to anyone. He's just kind of up there, and he just drinks all day. But it didn't take much convincing to get him back into the swing of things, to get him back working with the MCU. But what did you guys enjoy Fat Thor?
I mean, I guess for the plot of the movie, yeah, it was nice to see a different Thor, I guess. But I don't know. For the end of the movie, I'd rather prefer a full power Thor. Whatever.
Dude, yeah, it was jarring. But I guess that was the point of it. Just like show this guy that has literally always just been like in Infinity War, like Chris Pratt sees him and he's just super like self-conscious about it because he's such a goddess or god literally, and then you see him and he's just some pathetic drunken Fortnite playing dude,
the strongest Avenger.
Yeah, I mean, like the way I kind of interpreted it was just like, I mean, I don't think anyone has lost as much as Thor has. If we talk about all the heroes, besides for maybe Clint, I guess. We think Thor lost his his stepmom, his dad, his brother, his entire world, essentially. And sister. He puts a lot of the sister, brother. He puts a lot of blame of the snap happening on himself because he didn't aim for the head. So it made sense to me a lot that he was just this slobbering mess, which was a great joke for the rest of the film.
But it was awesome to see Korg come back from Ragnarok.
Yeah, that was great too. I think we'll go right into essentially we'll go into the site where we actually start testing for the time travel kind of stuff. We see some funny gags with Scott. And we get another heart-wrenching scene with Clint, who goes back in time and is calling out for his family, his daughter doesn't get there just in time. But yeah, that was cool. Just moving ahead here to where they actually start the time travel when they realize that. Well, I guess the really cool moment that I shouldn't skip over to was like the planning scene when they are trying to figure out how they're going to go about this, and they realize that there are different times where all of us have come into encounters with the stones. And then it just everything. The movie just like, at least in my head, just clicked. And I'm like, oh my god, this is how time travel is gonna work. It's gonna be a clip show throughout the entire MCU for the season finale. I can't wait. It's gonna be dope. They figured out that 3 of them were in New York on that fateful day on the first Avengers, which kind of blew my mind to think about, but it totally made sense. And then the rest, we got one on Asgard inside of Natalie Portman, which we'll get to. We have one on Vormir, of course, and then one on Morag as well. So that's all of them. I guess we just go through all of them. Starting, we'll go from like least involved to most involved. So probably got the least overall from Thor and Rocket's journey to Asgard. Although this did cause, I think this was cry number 3 when Thor is reunited with his mom, Frigga. Anyways, that was a lot. But I was like, I was like shocked to see that they got Natalie Portman back for this film. I'm not even 100% sure they got Natalie Portman back for this film. I'm like somewhat sure that they just used like old scenes that they didn't use from the first 2 Thors that she was in it to get back. But I was like, oh my god, they really did get everyone back. They got Natalie Portman. Like, I don't know. I was shocked by that.
Wait, did she have problems with the MCU?
Yeah, I mean, her problems mostly stemmed from the fact that they were going to have a female director for Thor 2, and then last second decided to switch, and it didn't sit with her very well. Also, she just like has been pretty outspoken about not being a big fan of like these kind of big franchises.
Okay.
So yeah, who knows if she has actually back or not? There might be some info on that, but I was surprised by that. But we get some pep talks from Rocket. He slaps Thor at one point, which is hilarious, saying it's like everyone's lost. What are you doing? Everyone's lost someone. Like, what are you doing here? But yeah, I thought we probably got the least from this scene, but it was from this like part of this much larger like sequence. But to me, it was one of the more impactful ones. I don't know. What did you guys think about this one?
I mean, definitely the biggest part is just Thor talking to his mom, and like he needed that real bad, and it was cool to see like her taking it like a champ, knowing that like she knew something bad was happening today, and she was like, just don't tell me, don't change anything, and I'm proud of you no matter what, just be yourself. And it was like, I don't know, it was cool to see Thor, because he's always been the god of thunder, Odin's son, just supposed to be some big hero, and he's just kind of gone with it because of that, and because it's been easy for him. But yeah, it's good to see him actually like thinking about his life more than just what he should be doing.
Right.
Yeah, it was nice.
And also Rocket running away from all the Asgardian soldiers, just like as a raccoon with the thing, was cool. I like that.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, Frigga gives one of the best lines in the entire movie. I can't remember it offhand, but it was something like about like failure, which is kind of like the
everyone
main.
fails being who they're supposed to be.
Yeah, and like the fact that he's a hero is that he like keeps trying or something like that. Yeah, that's another recurring theme of failing the ones you love as like probably the most overarching theme of the entire film, or the entire like 2-film series we have here is what is it like to fail the people that you love. But yeah, let's go on here to well, I should go to take a trip to Morag and with Nebula and Brody himself into a little. We find ourselves in the intro to Guardians of the Galaxy 1 with Peter and I just call him Peter. What the hell is his name? Peter
Quill.
Peter Quill,
Peter
right?
Quill.
It's just like, yeah. And we find Quill dancing along to his songs and just abusing poor innocent alien animals, as he gets, trying to get closer to the Power Stone, and then we see him get just straight up knocked out, which was hilarious. And then they eventually do get the stone after some trepidation. And Brody is able to zap himself back using the PIM technology.
Wait, have you been saying Brody?
Is that not his name?
It's Rhodey, no B.
Rhodey?
Yeah, because it's his Colonel Rhodes.
Oh,
Yeah.
Rhodey. I always thought it was Brody. All right. Well. Rhodey is able to get back using their PIM technology, but Nebula is not, because of some malfunction, because there are 2 Nebulas there, I guess, and she has this like neural like mind system thing that doesn't. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like earlier I tried to log in on Discord on both my phone and my laptop, but it didn't work. So it was like that, but with the 2 Nebulas.
Perfect. Makes perfect sense. And I think it's like the first time this is like the introduction, basically, of like this, I guess, like of Thanos back into the film, because we've gone quite a while in this like chunk since we've seen a villain. we get to see Gamora as a servant essentially to Thanos, along with Nebula, and we get to see how bad Nebula, I guess we'll call her, old Nebula, eventually ends up beating up on the good Nebula, taking her a little advancements with the little like gold plate on her head or whatever, and impersonates her and is able to travel back into the future, which is kind of sets up the next big chunk of conflict, which we'll get to eventually. But yeah, not too much going on with this one, I don't think. If you guys are ahead to just go ahead and move on.
There's something I want to talk about. That's
okay.
And that's just kind of the overarching use of time travel in this movie.
Sure.
Because it was pretty clear that they were just like, we're just ignoring all like rules of time travel, like cascading effects, and are just going to say stuff happens no matter what, and then it's just going to affect the future or something like that. Because like, there's no way they could have explained away like Thanos going to the future and then creating the paradox of Thanos no longer existing in the past, so that way the snap couldn't happen and everything. So, I don't know, I just feel like it was really weird to see like time travel just kind of being used, but then all the effects of it ignored. But I feel like there's no way this movie could have happened otherwise. What do you guys think?
I actually will disagree with you, and we'll get to why. Because I feel like it was explained pretty well with the ancient one, but we'll get to that.
Okay.
And so next up, I'll just go. This is maybe the most emotionally impactful one. We'll go here just because there's a little bit less going on. Natasha and Clint going to Vormir, meeting up with our old friend the Red Skull once again. Love to see more Nazis in our film.
Hydra. Okay.
Hydra. Yeah, or whatever. No, the Red Skull was literally a Nazi, wasn't he? Or I guess
he didn't follow Hitler, and he wasn't a symbol of his Aryan race.
Okay. Yeah. Anyways, and we have this scene where they both realize what Gamora and Thanos realized in the last film, that one of them has to die. And I don't know, here kind of the big conflict here is it kind of set up a bit earlier in the film with Natasha as she kind of took over Nick Fury's role in Shield, or whatever was left of it, I guess. As she's like trying to like be, when she's doing the Skype calls, she's like, everything, if anything goes sideways, you tell me first, and they're all, yes, Captain, or whatever. And she has a scene where she's talking to Rhodey about Clint, and talking about like what he's been up to, and wanting to get him back, and she's very emotional about it. Cut to this scene where they realize that they have a chance of reversing everything, and Clint can go back to having his family, and Natasha thinks that she has to be the one to do it, to sacrifice herself. Clint thinks otherwise, and they have like a interesting fight scene where they're trying to decide which of them is going to die. It was really touching. And then eventually, like, it leads to them, like, hanging off, like, rappelling off the building, and Natasha eventually letting go. And getting one of the most gruesome shots in any of the MCU films, with her just lying there, like, dead, with, like, blood spilling out of her head. I thought it was, like, really graphic for a PG-13 movie. But, yeah, did you guys, how much was this scene an emotional, impactful one for you guys, or?
I don't know. I guess I didn't expect her to die in general, I guess, in the beginning of the movie, but seeing them, that they were both ended up there, and that the movie opened up with Hawkeye, and it's like, oh, okay, well, okay.
Yeah, I didn't really get emotional. I don't know, because it was too cool to be sad. But I really thought Hawkeye was going to be the one to die, and it'd be just kind of like his redeeming moment of the whole reason he's doing this, just like be with his family again, but he realizes that he'd rather just make his family be alive than that, and I thought it'd be cool. And that's probably what was going through his head, but Nat, was kind of part of that family, as we saw in the second Avengers movie, and she just wanted him to be with it again, so she was just being a homie. Really didn't think Black Widow would die, though.
Yeah, to me it was a lot of emotion, because I was shocked that she died, very sad, because I think Black Widow has always been a character that wasn't really properly given her time in the spotlight. The part of that being them going through like literally over 100 directors trying to get the Black Widow film off the ground, and to see like the end of her arc that she ultimately sacrifices for the person that the person in the family that she loves, and I feel like her love isn't just for Clint. I think it's for everyone, as they said later when they all get back. is that she didn't have any family because they were her family. Yeah. Also, one of the lines that got me after when I was thinking about it was when right before they all go into time travel, she says, "See you guys in a minute." She's the only one who doesn't get to be seen. Anyways. Yeah. So I think from that we will go into the big bulk of this segment here. We have 4 different superheroes all going to hang out in the climax of Avengers 1. So we have Ant-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, and Captain America all going back with different agendas in mind. Hulk going for the Mind Stone, and again, I guess he kind of goes off in his own little thing there, talking to the Ancient One. Tony's going after the Scepter. I guess they're all kind of going after the Scepter.
No, Cap went after the Scepter. Tony went after the Tesseract with the Ant-Man.
Oh, yes. I'll go off into different things. I guess we could start here. I think you'll go right into the Ancient One thing.
Yeah.
So I think this is kind of like the bulk of like where they explain what the time travel mechanic is. And I thought it made a lot of sense because basically the way they explained it was when Hulk was asking the Ancient One for the Mind Stone, and she was saying, "Well, you might fix your reality, but you're gonna mess up my reality." And he kind of, every time you do this kind of thing, you're gonna break off into a new timeline. So far so good. I think we can understand that. And then Banner's hypothesis after that was basically like, okay, we're going to fix our timeline, and then we're going to go back in time to put it back so that in like a way it like syncs up. And to me, like compared to like most explanations of time travel, this like makes a lot of sense. We're not like primer levels of like making sense, but like we're past like Back to the Future and like Time Cop and everything. Like this I feel like this makes so much more sense, and like this is like a pretty, like if you ask most people, like scientists who deal with this kind of thing, this is kind of the explanation they go with, where like if you were to go back in time, it would just like create another timeline, like you couldn't affect time in the future. And so I'm glad they went down this route. And while it is convoluted because time travel is inherently convoluted, I thought this was the best possible way they could have done it. And to me, it made sense. But I guess Cam thinks otherwise.
I don't know. I just thought like generally it's always like if you see someone from your own future, it creates paradox, like we had with Nebula. So I feel like there were just certain things that they just kind of ignored out of necessity. But it didn't really annoy me. I don't know.
Sure. Devin, what was your opinion on the science of the time travel?
I thought it was okay. I was fine with it.
Alrighty. Let's see. Trying to remember what happens in the scene next. So they're both going off to their things. Eventually, let's think. Tony ends up in Avengers Tower, and we get kind of one of the ending parts of Avengers 1 where they all just kind of have like Loki locked up. He is grabbing the Tesseract from that, putting it in like a suitcase or whatever. And we get some like hilarious, like one of the probably my favorite joke in the entire film. Although we did skip over maybe my favorite joke in the entire film, which was when Scott first gets back from being in the quantum realm, and he goes to like the Avengers headquarters, and he's like talking through like what happened, and he goes like, "Is that anybody's sandwich?" And then starts eating that sandwich. That was literally so funny. But then, like, we have in this scene I'm talking about is Hulk being very upset that he has to take the stairs.
Oh my god!
Which pays off a few minutes later in a pitch perfect way. But I love this whole thing.
I thought you were talking about America's ass, Frankie.
We will get to that. Cap's whole thing with him being in the elevator and like doing that homage. I guess I don't even know if you call it an homage, but like it's a tie-in to Winter Soldier, where it looks like they're gonna do another brawl in the elevator. Then just whispers "Hail Hydra," like the most perfect, like acknowledging that yes, it did happen in the comics, and like wrapping it up with a line earlier. I guess it was a few minutes earlier when Scott's like, "Are those good guys or bad?" Or he's like, "Who are they?" And Tony's like, "Oh, they're Shield. Actually, they're Hydra, but we didn't know that yet." Yeah, and then like we get like the face off between the two Captain Americas, which was like literally the line when the past Captain America goes like, I could do this all day, and he's like, yeah, I know. It was very like very meta, but also it was so funny. It was so well done.
Classic.
Yeah. And they kind of culminates with them ending up in the lobby and trying to get it back, all their stuff back, and get out of there unscathed, with Tony dressed up as a security guard. Hulk comes bursting out through the stairs because he hates stairs so much and ends up knocking Tesseract away, and Loki escapes with it, of course. And so this kind of catapults them into having to go even further back in time. But Scott goes back to the future, and Tony and Cap go back into the past. And here's where we get in, where the cry count really starts racking up. We get some reunions of Tony with his dad, which was very touching. Not really a reunion, but more of just like a stare off between Cap and an unsuspecting Peggy. Which was nice, and those moments were touching. But I think that the main spotlight of that scene is and should be Tony talking to his dad, Howard, and it was touching. It was nice to see that they're dynamic, talking about like their lives, and but the moment that really got to me, and I'm not tearing up right now or anything, but when Tony talks about he tells his dad that he has a granddaughter. I don't know. It's just really touching to me. I loved it. I don't know.
I thought it was super interesting to see like he was kind of asking for parenting advice from his dad, something he never had a shot to do, but he never really thought of his dad as necessarily a good father. But like seeing how his dad was kind of thinking about like how terrifying it is to be a father because all he wants to do is like not screw it up. And how his dad was like actually like that. It was super cool to see Tony like kind of get to see his dad in a different light.
Right.
Devin, people can't see you nod.
I don't know. I'm just happy with it. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, I think we can move along here now. That's kind of the end of that whole giant segment of the film. Let's try to speed this up a little bit here. So we have a 4-hour podcast. So we get back to the present where they have all the Infinity Stones. And they're putting it all together in this kind of glove that Tony creates whenever. And they're kind of deciding who is going to be the one to do the snap. And oh, by the way, the evil Nebula is in this, just in the background, brooding. But eventually they decide that Hulk has to do it because he's probably the strongest, considering, Thor's condition.
Wait, real quick, because we talked about this on the other podcast of like, could someone use the gauntlet?
Oh yeah.
And I thought it was interesting because the way Hulk explained it was that the stones, like most of what they give off is gamma radiation. And the Hulk can absorb gamma radiation. So I thought that was a pretty good way of explaining why he was able to use it and not, like, just die.
Right, yeah. We'll get making into this a little bit. The rules of the snap are still a little bit unclear, as we'll get into here. So Hulk snaps and undoes the snap, which is kind of crazy. Like, burns his arm off, essentially, like, almost. Kind of like Thanos we saw earlier in the film. Mm-hmm. But it seems that, like, the reason why I think like it's unclear to me if the burn was just caused by doing the snap itself, or because we get later in the film he talks about trying to get Black Widow back from the dead as well, and so I feel like that maybe that extra strain could have caused it. It's just something that the snap can't actually undo, and then maybe there's something there I have to probably rewatch and go ahead.
I thought because like the first gauntlet was made of that special stuff, whereas this one's kind of just like Tony's regular machinery.
Yeah, that could totally be it too, for sure.
And when Hulk talked about that, I thought he was saying that like he just thought about trying to do it for Natasha, but he just decided not to because he like knew that it wasn't the right thing to do. But maybe.
Oh, interesting. Okay, yeah, I have to watch it again to get a better grading. But yeah, definitely all realistic possibilities. And so then out of nowhere, Thanos appears, cool, and blows like the entire place to smithereens. Everyone gets trapped under rubble.
I was scared Ant-Man just died at the window.
I thought they might kill somebody off with just that for a moment there. But yeah, but everyone was pretty much okay. Then with the gauntlet is lost, though, they have to go find the gauntlet, or not the gauntlet, but Tony's gauntlet. I don't know if it has a name. Probably in the comics it does.
Iron Gauntlet.
Iron Gauntlet. Yeah, we'll go with that. So they do that. We have a meeting of Nebulas, Gamoras, a lot of people fighting here and there. I'm trying to remember major things that happened before, like the big battle here.
Rhodey ditches his suit to save Rocket.
Yeah, Rocket was trapped.
Oh,
under rubble.
yeah.
Oh, and
Right.
Clint is running away from the spider dogs.
Yes.
That was freaky.
Yeah. And so they get Gauntlet is just exchanging hands essentially. I'm trying to remember what is there anything else that like really catalysts into like the main like big fight then.
I mean, Thanos is just like sitting there in front of the stadium while the dogs are going in, right?
You're right. How typical of the man to just sit there and be like, Nebula, do my work for me. I'm going to sit. I was like, oh my god, I hate this guy.
Power move.
It's like, I hate this guy so much. So eventually they do, from the rubble, they are able to get out, and Thanos is like, I was trying to be a sympathetic villain in the last movie, thinking I was doing good for the world. I hate you people. And so I made a mistake the first time. Now I'm not going to make it again. I'm going to command my army, and we're going to just kill all of you. And we get some combat here between some of the Avengers with Cap and Iron Man and all them. But then we get into what is maybe the most special moment in the entire film. And Devin, what did you call these circle things?
No, not yet. No.
Yeah, we
Not
know
yet?
stuff to talk about.
No, we got the...
Okay.
Because I guess, like, the Iron Man, Cap, and Thor versus Thanos, that was kind of like a mini moment in itself, because they got to...
Yeah, for sure.
I guess it was more of a Cap versus Thanos, because Iron Man had his chance in the last movie, now Captain gets to get a go at it.
Yeah.
With the pop-off for the hammer.
Do you guys remember what was happening when that happened? It was Thor was fighting Thanos, and then with the God Killer or whatever, Thunder Killer?
Yeah.
I don't know. And yeah, Thanos had the axe and he was pushing it into Thor's chest, which was just like in Infinity War, when Thor hit Thanos with the axe and was pushing it into his chest. It's super cool.
Right. Yeah, I get that order of events that mixed in my head, but you guys are totally right. Yeah. Dude, the moment when Cap gets the hammer, like shades of Force Awakens reaction in my theater. People were losing their minds. Like we said in the group chat, Jake screamed, "Holy shit!" right next to me. It was just like, oh my god, this is like the craziest thing. Yeah, that's that. Yeah, this. I mean, I've said it before. I'll say it probably a couple more times. That whole end sequence is the best battle sequence in the history of the MCU. I'm not sure I've seen a better one in like any film.
Yeah. Oh my god. And it was like, I don't know. I've always been like, how can Captain America stand up to Thanos? Like, he's strong, but obviously not even close to Thanos. But then with the hammer, like, actually making it kind of make sense. It's perfect. Oh my god.
Right. Now, is there anything? Oh, go ahead.
And confirming through illegal spoiler vids on YouTube that he does perform a knee akin to a Captain Falcon.
I must have missed that. I didn't know what you were talking about when you said that. That's funny. Now, is there anything else before everyone gets to there? Or
Captain has his shield broken, and he's just like one
God.
versus all. Just like, yeah, I give myself for this.
All right, and then it has Captain America standing on the hill, looking down at Thanos with his giant army behind him, or he's like struggling to stand up, right? And I really thought he was gonna say, "I could do this all day." I
thought about it for a second, but I was like, this is gonna be a little cheesy if he says that. Yeah. So I mean, at this point, like, yeah, Cap, cool hammer, but Thanos and his army, that's a lot. And so now we get to Devin. What did you call those things?
The sling rings?
Yeah, the sling rings.
Sling ring. That's actually their name, isn't it? I literally didn't even know that. That's
that's the ring you have to wear in order to be able to make one.
Right. I completely forgot about that. I thought Devin just made up that name. I'm like, what in the world?
That's good.
No, that actually makes total sense.
But
yeah.
first,
So that.
right before that,
go ahead.
We heard "On Your Left."
Oh yeah, that's from that's the first. That was the first line of Cap 2.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah. The sling rings. Everybody comes back. Everybody's here. Smash Bros. Ultimate. Avengers Endgame. We see T'Challa. Okoye. I can never say her name. Shuri. You see all the people who were on Titan. We got Doctor Strange. Spider-Man comes through. Everyone is here. To battle it out.
Wong.
Wong is hype. And the battle just commences with the phrase people have been waiting since 2008 for somebody in this franchise to say, and that's Avengers Assemble. As Cap grips Thor's hammer and they charge forward. Wild. The battle begins. At some point, I guess I'm going to go somewhere. A lot happens in this, so I'm just going to go over some of my first bullet point is when Spidey and Cap hug. That's crime moment number 5. Ready for me? Paying forward.
Yeah.
Did I say Cap? I meant Iron Man. Sorry. Spidey and Iron Man hugging, paying closure to that scene in Homecoming I didn't care for too much with the thing in the limo being like, I'm not hugging you, kid, I'm opening the door. That was a little cheesy, but they made it work. And then a couple other moments. But what were some of your guys' favorite moments from that whole scene?
I guess just from the beginning, this is where I cried. I was making cry face right when people started showing up to that wallpaper moment of the charge. It was,
right.
I really loved seeing Black Panther, and then they were doing the chant just like in Infinity War, Ibambe, and then everyone's totally game to fight again, even though they lost last time. Also, giant Ant-Man punching a flying turtle in the face. That was amazing.
Yeah.
Let's see. The whole sequence of them trying to get the gauntlet away from all of Thanos' people. I really like that.
Yeah. That's a great. We have a great little moment in there too with Captain Marvel, who finally up here. I almost forgot about Captain Marvel. She comes. DSS Carol Danvers comes in and just blows through the ship, which is dope. And then eventually she plays in that keep away game, and with Peter Parker ends up coming away with it. And she's like, "It looks like you have something for me." It's like, "Oh yeah, here you go. I'm Peter." It's a great moment.
Oh, and when he turned on kill mode. Oh my god.
Oh yeah. Oh my god, that was wild.
Just stabbing everybody.
Angry Wanda.
Yeah.
Angry Wanda was sick.
Oh yeah.
And he was like, I don't even remember you. And she's just like, oh my god.
Yeah. I think now we'll get to cry moment number 6, because at this point it's just kind of flowing, but it got more intense when we had the women of the MCU shot, starting within just all it just starts with a couple of them and they just all keep forming until the entire frame is just filled up with all of the women heroes of the MCU with Mantis is there too, just hanging out in the far right corner, which I thought was hilarious. This moment was total chills, and it was. Yeah, that moment was so for a series of film that has struggled with diversity for the last 10 years, and it really goes on into play when you watch these big films when it's literally just for this film, the majority of it, the vast majority, is just white men doing things,
and
to see women of and Arakian, who's voiced by a white man. Seeing all these women of different sizes, shapes, colors, all fighting in this battle with all of them, it meant a lot to me. And I think the Russos know what's up.
One sec. Also, speaking of women and women power, when Peter Quill found Gamora.
Oh yeah.
And then they did the thing when she first found him in I don't know if it was she first found him, but when they were on Nowhere in Guardians 1 of kneeing him in the balls,
Right.
but then she actually hit. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an interesting thing. This was kind of an interesting thing. So I guess we'll get to it. We'll skip ahead just really quick and we'll come right back here. But with eventually, so like obviously the snap happens and the again from Tony, right? But is this Gamora? Did she go away with the snap?
No. Wait. No.
I don't think they answered that.
They didn't answer that. I'm asking like an opinion. We don't know.
No, because I'm pretty sure that's what they were like looking for, when they were all on his ship with Thor, the map.
Right.
That's what I figured.
Yeah. So the question. Yeah. So the question is like, well, are they gonna find Gamora? Like where? I don't know how that affected Gamora. Is kind of just my question. I guess it's kind of the question going forward for Guardians 3.
Yeah, I figured it'd just be like one of the plot points of the movie is trying to find her, maybe
Right.
save her.
Yeah, for sure.
Back to I don't know, Tony and the. Or I guess not even that yet, because they blow up the van and then they're kind of stuck with.
God.
Oh, okay. Now
Oh,
what do we
yeah.
do?
Yeah. The next thing I remember happening is they have like well, I guess probably earlier in the fight you had like this giant like wall collapse basically, and so Doctor Strange just kind of like has to just like contain this giant wall of water.
Oh yeah.
And then eventually like Tony goes to Strange and he's just like, is this like the one? Is this how it's gonna? Is this the one chance we get or whatever? And he's like, if I tell you, it's not gonna happen. And then that pays off only a few minutes later when he looks at Strange with the gauntlet on his. I guess no, I don't want to skip ahead too much because they do the whole like misdirect thing with the gauntlet with Thanos, which like, I'm still not even. I have to watch it again. I'm not even sure if it like made sense.
Yeah.
But it definitely was like cool.
It was like Tony like blocked his hand or something, and then it's like swiped his Iron Man hand on the back of Thanos's. I thought to like grab all the things off.
Yeah, that makes sense. My immediate thought, I guess I maybe just didn't even see it, or maybe I was just overwhelmed by the scene. But I was like, did he use the Reality Stone? Like, what is happening here? I was so confused. But that makes a lot more sense, actually.
Yeah. And it makes sense because it was the Iron Gauntlet, so like he could figure out how they came out. Feels like.
Right. Yeah, I guess, and that kind of misdirect happens. Tony finally hoists the Iron Gauntlet, has all 6 Infinity Stones, looks to Stephen Strange, and he just puts up one finger. And at this moment, it pays off the line from earlier in the movie where Thanos says that he is inevitable. It turns out that Iron Man himself is inevitable, does the snap, gets rid of everybody, but at what cost? And here's the moment where even the people, I don't care who you are, you're crying at this moment. There's no possible way you can watch this moment and not cry watching Tony Stark, the person who kicked off this entire, like, one of the main reasons why the MCU has worked is because of Robert Downey Jr. And to see him give his last performance and his last scene, it's I mean, I don't know if there's anything more powerful than that in the entire movie.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool because the last thing that Tony Stark said before snapping was the same as the last thing he said in Iron Man 1. Just, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I thought it was a nice end to this long arc and just who he had become through the movie and in this movie. But I don't know, just the longer I think about it, like if that was the one outcome that was needed to win, it's like, okay, but I don't know, you're there, you have all 6 on your hand. I don't know. At that point, like, I don't know. Did you have to snap? You could have, I don't know, just time, options. It's like you had the ball, but you had like a full shot clock.
Oh my god. Do you have to just dribble it in the
Yeah,
corner,
you're
shoot a 40-yard 3?
I don't know, because I feel like the inevitability of the thing and the theme of inevitability, but then also like Strange, like saying this is the one timeline where this works, and so I figured that's kind of that kind of explains it. But But yeah, we see Tony lying, or he kind of falling to the ground, and then Peter comes over. Like pretty much everyone comes over to say what's up to him as he is just pale and dying, and Gwyneth Paltrow gives a performance that was too realistic. I know she's been criticized a lot with her involvement in the MCU, and she's criticized the MCU enough herself. But the way that I don't know, we see like Spider-Man consoling Tony, which is kind of like a wrap up from Infinity War, where Tony was consoling Spider-Man as he was being snapped, which was just another father figure in Peter's life is to die. But the way that Gwyneth, I guess Pepper, just kind of cradles him and says that like it's okay, like it's your time to rest, like we're gonna be okay. Too real. Cry number 7. Cry number 7. Okay, no, wait, it's either 6 or 7. I lost track. 6 or 7. Anyways, whatever. And yeah, that's the climax of Endgame. My goodness. Oh, my goodness. I can't believe we made it this far. Yeah, and so
get those Return of the King scenes at the end, wrapping everything up for everybody.
Yeah, and so this movie kind of ends. We end with back at Tony's place, giving his funeral. Pretty much everybody's there to pay him respects. We have like his eulogy that he recorded in the beginning of the film, and I guess with other stuff in there as well, but playing for his wife and his daughter and all of them inside his house, and then the funeral outside. We have a really long one take, just kind of like going through all the different like groups of people through all the different like parts of the MCU is really cool.
Were you guys looking for Gamora during that? Because I definitely was.
I was not thinking about Gamora, but yeah, that's a powerful scene. And then we just kind of do some check-ins with everybody to see where everybody's at after the film. A couple of my favorites, I'm sure. When they set up Guardians of the Galaxy, as Guardians of the Galaxy 3, basically, with Thor, taking command of Peter's and Rocket's ship, which as a joke I think went on like a couple lines too long. But it was still funny nonetheless, and it makes I think everybody more excited for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. Yeah, and then along with that, we see Valkyrie, who is basically become the new Queen of Asgard. So that's dope. Hopefully she gets start getting her own movies. That'd be dope. Tessa Thompson's awesome. And then we're getting into one of the last cries of the movie, you guys. We're almost there. We get to Cap going to go back in time to put the Infinity Stones back. They said like, for him, and they ask like, how long is it going to take? And Banner's like, well, for him, however long it takes, for us, only a few seconds. They put him through the time machine. He doesn't come back after they said he's going to. And they see old man Steve Rogers on the bench, sitting out by themselves. And Falcon goes out there to talk to him. Eventually, gives him the shield. He becomes the new Captain America. I guess we'll be getting his own series of films here soon too, which is very exciting. But I think just seeing him as an old man and realizing that he was able to go back in time and live the life that he always wanted to live and I deserved to live, and seeing his wedding ring, that was enough to get me the waterworks start going. Eventually, it becomes a full-on cry when we get to the very final shot of the movie, but I don't want to jump ahead too much. Do you guys have any takeaways from where these like final scenes kind of like setting the MCU up to go from here on out?
Real quick, just sticking with the Cap thing. I recently rewatched Captain America 1, and before they send like Steve back in time, he says to Bucky, I think, "Don't do anything stupid until I get back." And then Bucky says, "You're taking all the stupid, or how can I? You're taking all the stupid with you." And that's set in Captain America 1 when Bucky's deployed to war. Like, Bucky says his Cap, so that was super nice. I don't know.
Yeah.
Callbacks are great. And then on setups was... I don't really know. Definitely, you can see Young Avengers getting set up with the mechanic kid from Iron Man 3, maybe Hawkeye's daughter. I don't know who else could be in there, but definitely people. Oh, Iron Man's daughter.
Yeah, for sure. I think definitely.
Oh, about those scenes? Oh, no. You can move on to that final shot.
Final shot, we hear the song being played, and more callbacks, of course, and like the gradient filter and the slow zoom into, not slow, dolly, into Cap and Agent Carter's house. That was the final big one for sure. That's I don't know. I mean, I feel like we got Cap. It's like to give closure to the two biggest characters in like any franchise, like the biggest franchise of all time, within like 20 minutes of each other, between Tony's death and his eulogy, and then Cap, and to see him finally be reunited. Yeah, that's a lot right there. That's a pitch perfect way to end it. I could not possibly think of a better ending.
Yeah, I mean, like, just thinking about how they finished up both Iron Man and Captain America. Iron Man started his life kind of worthless, like as someone selling like ways to kill people, and then ends like sacrificing himself for like basically humanity, which is super cool.
Right.
And then Cap always been like sacrificing himself for like the war or anything he could possibly do to help people, and then he finally gets a chance to like be selfish for once, get that dance that he's been like talking about since the first movie. It's really nice.
Yeah, it's really nice. And that's everything. I'm gonna get some cool credits. All the main cast gives like these like cool signatures. I mean, it's all nice. And we end off no post credit scene, which is great. And just you hear the sounds of Tony crafting his suit from the first Iron Man in the cave, to make everything come full circle, because we had needed to come full circle for the 50th time. And that's everything, and that's it, and we're finally done. Yeah. It's been a journey. I feel like we've been on a journey, and we've only been here for an hour. But yeah, I guess final thoughts about the film, if you guys want to go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. This about like bringing people back, that everyone, the characters in Spider-Man, all got snapped, so they can all be together for Spider-Man 2.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna be really interesting to see how they like make it work, like just this world with half the population is now back, but 5 years younger, I guess, than the people that they left. It's gonna be crazy.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if that's even like addressed that much. I really hope in these films, like the directors and the writers are able to really like think about like the effects on the world of like what that kind of thing would happen. But it's not just kind of like relegated into like mentioning as like something that's mentioned. I really hope that like it is like a something that like we feel this impact for a long time.
Chaos.
In the MCU.
That's my house.
Yeah.
No, it was my house the last 5 years.
Well, like, I think it'll be super interesting is like it could be a way to set up villains in the future too. Just like, people that either maybe went insane because of the snap or like are, I don't know. I think that'd be super cool to like see if villains were motivated by it.
Yeah. It could be like a cult of people who were just like hate all the people who came back. They were gone and they wanted to move on, but now they can't or something. I don't know. There's a lot of ways you can go with it for sure.
My overall take from the movie is just like, I honestly don't know how they could have made a better movie.
Yeah.
Like it perfectly, like, was referencing everything that we've gone through with all these characters in the past decade, but it like didn't just like show it. It showed it from a different angle and like from a different perspective and changed it a little bit, and then it just the fight scene at the end, just the overall everything that we've been watching coming together to fight just the biggest villain that we've ever had with the giant army.
The series... No, I guess not the series. The second to last episode of Teen Titans.
Yeah.
Yeah, my final note on that I have written here was this movie was so easy to mess up, and somehow they didn't do it. Somehow it was perfect. Like, obviously you can take gripes from here and there, and like I already seen criticisms of like Black Widow's death and things like that. I think any criticisms of her death are more of a criticism of her character as it's been portrayed throughout the MCU as a whole, and not necessarily about Endgame or Infinity War in particular. That's just my opinion. But yeah, I can't imagine a better film than this one. There's just, I don't think it's possible. I don't know. I can't imagine it. But I think that'll about do it. What do you guys say?
So I didn't see Captain Marvel, but like with all that controversy about, I don't know, all that stuff, I guess I was still satisfied to see her show her power level and stuff. But when she had her hands on Thanos' gauntlet, I was afraid that she was gonna beat him because I didn't think she deserved to beat him, just being introduced right before this. But
yeah,
it would have been like Superman showing up in Justice League, and then just all of a sudden all the Justice League characters are totally worthless. It's just Superman fighting the main villain.
Yeah. Imagine a world where that happens. Yeah, I think they set that up really well in the very beginning of the film with her being like, when are you coming back? And she's like, guys, like, this happened everywhere. Like, yeah, Earth is important, but oh my god, like, do you know how many people need me?
I feel like they could have tried to call her before they had this plan to go back in time. Because, like, I don't know, in case something happened, but I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, and yes, Wong, I did want more.
Alrighty.
Great. 8+, 10 out of 10. It's the greatest movie ever created. Give it the Oscar for the next 5 years.
They should stop calling it the Oscars and just call it the Endgame from now on. Alrighty. This has been the Anyone Cam Off-Season podcast. I have been Frankie.
Wait, Frankie, real quick.
Oh my goodness.
Quick reactions on the Steelers draft.
Oh.
Yo!
Sorry. I mean, I haven't seen a bad... I think I like all of our picks. Devin Bush is dope. I can't remember the guy's name. The wide receiver was like Deontay something.
Yeah, Deontay something. I know you're talking about.
Yeah, he looks cool.
I've heard he's been comped to Antonio Brown.
No, I did not hear that, but that's cool. I mean, we do need another wide receiver on our team. It's not like James Washington's going to cut it for much longer, but we'll see.
Then, what were you going to say?
I was happy to draft the best receiver in the draft.
Oh, Seahawks?
What? No, Eagles.
Who think it?
JJ from Stanford.
Oh my god.
No, but I didn't even know Seahawks got DK Metcalf.
Dude, there was a story coming out that... Alright, we're going on real quick. He went to the meeting with the Seahawks shirtless. Yeah. Pete Carroll took his shirt off. That was great.
Oh, I saw the video.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. Yeah. Okay, that's everything. I've been Frankie.
Cam.
I guess I'm Devin.
See you, Devin. And we'll catch you all next week. Maybe with some actual draft analysis. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll see you then.